Hey folks, and welcome to this review of the brand new plugin from Denise Audio. It's called the God Mode, and it's basically a saturation plugin combined with a EQ, and how it sounds and what you can do with it, it's coming up now. So this plugin is actually quite interesting because what you can do with it is you can introduce saturation, which is based on tape saturation, but it also has an equalizer. So you can decide for yourself which frequency or which region actually of the whole frequency response you want to saturate a little bit more or less. It goes actually back when they decided to program this application. They used kind of like the Pultec style EQ, where you could, for example, push a certain frequency or a frequency band into saturation, this tube saturation, and again at the same time pull it back, so you kind of get basically the same output level, but on a certain frequency band, for example, on the high or on the low frequencies, a little bit more saturation, so you could round up the whole signal a little bit more without overloading a tape machine or the analog console back in the day. And this plugin actually does the same thing. So let's jump right in. And as you can see, I already loaded it here on the mix down channel of the song. And let's play it first without. And I already have here created a preset Set Marty mix bus drive that I really liked when I played around with the plugin for the first time. So let's see what we have. Let's activate it. Without. So much more clean. And it added quite a bit thickness to the song or to the mix, and a little bit more of a saturation, but without overloading the mixdown channel or to sound even louder. So let's go back to the default setting and let's go through the features quickly. And so just you can hear what you can do with it. So in the first section here, you got your frequency pans that you can push, for example, a low shelf, low frequency, then you got the mid frequencies. And of course, you can decide where you want to target, or actually what frequency you want to boost. All right, and also a high shelf. Then you got certain elements here. You got on the pre-stage a high pass filter and a low pass filter, 20 up to 20,000 hertz. Again, also on the post side, you got a high frequency and a low frequency cut. Again, the same as in the pre-stage. Then you got a mix knob, of course, and in the lower section you got the pull, where you can pull back the gain of the frequency that you wanted to boost. You got a dry and wet, where you have a kind of like a pan. You can, for example, pan a little bit on the left side the dry signal, or on the right side, and of course also the wet signal. So you can actually create kind of like an effect with that if you use it, for example, on elements in the mix, like on the drums or on the guitars or something like that, or on background vocals. And you also have a makeup gain, so you can reduce the overall gain or boost it quite a bit. You got also a randomize function. For example, when you click it, it will give you some frequency curves that might work or might not work on instruments. So this is kind of like just like a little bit of a gimmick here. You got also a side tape, they call it side tape here, where you can essentially make a side chain of a, for example, of a kick drum or something like that, that you want to trigger the plugin with. But I'm not going to show you that in this short review here. We're going to just focus here on the mixdown track so you can hear what it's actually doing. Then you can decide how much of tape saturation you want, of course. There's also a warp. When you think of tape saturation, there was also a little bit of a warp introduced. Sometimes the tape roll a little bit faster or a little bit slower, and you can make that happen here also. And there's also kind of like a bus, which is a analog, kind of like electrical noise or something like that. So let's play a little bit around. Let's go back to default, and maybe let's get that all the way down, and also the tape. So this is just the plugin with nothing done to it. As you can see, we have here a standard EQ. This is just for boosting, so you can't make cuts with that. But you can decide, of course, which frequency you want to target. Completely free, actually. And maybe let's try just tape saturation so you can hear what it's doing without the EQ. Let's push it all the way. I have the mix now just to 50%. Let's see what the warp is doing. So let's get a little bit tape saturation here. Just gets a little bit of a random swirl to it. The bus. Wow. So you can really distort it. Everything on 100% here. Quite nasty, actually. And let's see, for example, here in the pre-stage, what you might want to do is make a little bit of a high-pass filter. If you don't want to distort the low frequencies. Let's try maybe 50 here. High cut. Let's say maybe 16. Get a little bit of tape saturation going. Maybe a little bit of warp. And now let's start pushing a little bit the high frequencies around 10K. Of course, we're gonna do way too much, so you can really hear the effect. Maybe also a little bit the bottom frequency here of 90. And now let's try to pull it back. So we have now 0%. Pull it back all the way. So what you have is now the EQ with the raised bottom end and the top end, which went into distortion. And at the same time with this pull slider here, we're gonna pull it back again. So the gain, so you just have the saturated sound of the frequency bands, but not without any overloading the output stage. Okay, again without. Let's overdo it so you can hear it a little bit better. Also maybe introduce a little bit of buzz. Okay, let's push it back. Maybe let's use 50. So without it. And on full mix, let's leave it just to 50 here. So let's see what the try and wet is doing. So you got the try signal on the left side, or you can decide on the right side. Of course, you can also do the same thing with the wet. This might be interesting for certain elements in the mix, like, as I said, with vocals or guitars or something like that. But on the whole mix, maybe not. So let's go back to my setting here with the mix bus drive. So what I did here is I added 50% of tape, a little bit of warp and buzz, also a high pass and a low pass filter, and I pulled it back the frequency band of 98 Hertz here, and I made a top shelf EQ, so a boost here of 10,000 Hertz, and I pulled it back 36%. Without it. So it just makes everything a little bit thicker, a little bit rounder sounding. Of course, there's quite some presets in there. So let's try another preset, maybe the bass, which is obviously designed for bass guitar or synth bass. Let's try vocals. Drums. Without it. Let's see if there are some other supple finishing touch. This sounds quite nice. Right. Let's compare it to my version here. Maybe a little bit darker sounding mine. Let's see if there are other things in there. There's another mix. Let's see how that sounds. Brighten up the mix. Oh yeah. Quite a top end boost here. See when we pull it back even more. All right, so if you want to copy my mix bus drive setting here, just pause the video and get the different settings here, like on a tape 50, warp 20, and 25 on the bus. And as you can see, high and low pass filter here, 50, 16, mix 45%, pull 36, reduce the makeup gain, negative 2.5, and on the frequency bands here, I used 98 with plus 10 gain, and here on the 10,000 Hertz frequency top shelf, again also 10 dB of a gain boost. So just copy this if you want to have that setting for your mix or for your master or something like that. But of course, just try the plugin out. I have it in the description below is the link to it. See yourself how or what actually this plugin can do to your song, to your mix, or to certain elements. Try it on the vocals or on the drum bus. But so far, I think it sounds really nice, especially on the mixdown track here. And it's another great alternative to other saturation plugins, I would say. All right, so thanks for watching. Hope I could give you a short and good review about this plugin. And as always, happy recordings and mixing, and see you in another video.